All right, let's dive into something pretty wild. We're going to uncover a lost chapter in the history of medicine, a golden age so advanced it might just flip everything you thought you knew about the ancient world on its head. So let me ask you, who were the greatest doctors of the ancient world? Go on, take a second. I bet for most of you, a few big names and places probably jump right into your head, right? You're probably thinking of the Greeks, right? Legends like Hippocrates, Galen, or maybe the Romans with their amazing field medics and all those advanced tools. Or hey, what about the incredible Ayurvedic schools in India with masters like Sushruta writing the book on surgery? And look, you wouldn't be wrong. Those were all giants for sure.
But what if I told you that the most organized, the most scientific, and honestly the most shockingly modern medical system of the ancient world wasn't any of those? What if the real powerhouse was somewhere else entirely?
We're talking about the Sasanian Empire of Persia. Now, this was a true superpower, a rival to Rome, that thrived from around 224 to 651 CE. And what we're going to see is how this civilization built a medical system that was, no joke, centuries ahead of its time.
I mean, listen to this. We're talking about a system with stuff that sounds like it was pulled right out of the 21st century. Things like structured hospitals with specialized departments, doctors who actually had to pass exams to get a license, and a real focus on scientific, evidence-based methods. Wild, right? And the epicenter of this whole medical revolution, it was one place, the incredible Academy and Hospital of Gundeshapur. Seriously, for almost 400 years, this was pretty much the most advanced medical center on Earth. Period.
In fact, historians have a nickname for it, the Harvard of the ancient world. And that's not just hype. This place was a magnet, a true beacon of knowledge, pulling in the brightest minds from all over the known world.
See, Gundeshapur wasn't just a hospital. It was so much more. It was this complete ecosystem of learning. It was a university, a cutting-edge research center, a pharmacy school, and a huge translation hub all rolled into one. You had Greek scholars escaping persecution, Indian surgeons making their way down the Silk Road, Syriac philosophers, they all came here. It created this amazing scientific melting pot.
And all that collaboration, it led to a system that was so organized, so regulated, it's going to sound shockingly familiar to you. Okay, first things first. You couldn't just, hang a sign on your door and call yourself a doctor. Nope. If you wanted to practice medicine in the Sasanian Empire, you had to go through years of serious study and then, get this, pass exams run by the state to get approved. It's basically the ancient version of getting your medical license.
And their hospitals? Absolutely revolutionary. I mean, in a lot of ancient cultures, healing was all tied up with religion, right? Temples, priests, but not here. These were state-run, scientific clinics. They had specialized wards for different illnesses, just like a modern hospital. And even crazier, the senior doctors would actually supervise the students, teaching them on the job. It was the world's first medical residency program. Europe wouldn't see anything like it for hundreds and hundreds of years.
And they were masters of medicine too. We're talking about pharmacology. They put together these massive books like giant encyclopedias of drugs, cataloging treatments from herbs, minerals, you name it. And they even focused on standardizing the dosages. Again, something that feels way ahead of its time.
The level of specialization was just, wow. You had Sasanian surgeons doing these really complex operations, removing tumors, performing this super delicate eye surgery called cataract needling. They even had treatments for what we'd now call mental health, things like depression and trauma. And maybe most impressive of all, they got the idea of contagion. They used quarantine to stop diseases from spreading.
I mean, just look at this, side by side. Structured hospitals, medical licensing, big books of drugs, specialized surgery, quarantine, university training. The parallels to modern medicine are they're undeniable. It's like we're looking at a blueprint for our own system, written 1,500 years ago.
So the big question is, how? How did they get so incredibly far ahead? Well, it wasn't that they invented every single one of these ideas out of thin air. Their real genius was something else. Think of Sasanian Persia as the ultimate scientific bridge of the ancient world. They were brilliant at absorbing knowledge from everywhere. They took the medical theories from the Greeks, the surgical skills from India, the knowledge of drugs from Mesopotamia and Egypt. But here's the key. They didn't just copy and paste. They combined it all, tested it, improved it, and innovated on top of it. They created something new and way more powerful than any of the individual pieces.
And this right here,
This is the crucial link in the chain of history that so often gets overlooked. All of this knowledge, perfected at places like Gundeshapur, was passed directly to the great minds of the Islamic Golden Age. Famous thinkers like Avicenna, they were standing on the shoulders of these Sasanian giants, and it was their work that eventually traveled into Europe, lighting the spark for what would become modern Western medicine.
Which probably has you wondering, okay, if this was all so advanced, why haven't I heard more about it? Why isn't it as famous as Greek or Roman medicine? Why do we call it a forgotten golden age? Well, simply put, history can be a bit cruel. The Sasanian Empire eventually fell, and in the chaos, a tragic amount of their libraries and texts were just gone, lost, or destroyed. Then, the later scholars who built on their foundations, they're the ones who often got all the credit. It's only in more recent times that we found enough surviving texts to really piece this amazing story back together.
And the evidence we have now is it's staggering. Get this. Their understanding of quarantine to stop the spread of disease, that concept came more than 1,000 years before Europe even developed germ theory, a full millennium ahead of the curve.
So, let's just boil it down. Back then, in an era full of superstition and magic, Sasanian Persia treated medicine like what it is, a science, a craft. And today, when we look back, it's clear as day that so many of the foundational ideas of our own medical world, from how we run hospitals to how we license doctors, were first pioneered in their empire.
So, what's the big takeaway here? When you think about this forgotten golden age, just remember these key things. Sasanian Persia gave us the world's first real university hospital. They created a regulated, licensed medical profession. They built a global network for sharing science. And they developed clinical and surgical knowledge that was literally centuries ahead of everyone else.
And that leaves us with one last, really mind-bending thought. Just imagine, what if the Sasanian Empire hadn't fallen? What if a place like Gundeshapur had kept going for another few hundred years? You have to wonder, how much sooner would our modern medical revolution have really kicked off? It's one of history's most powerful what-ifs.